Genshin Impact is getting closer and closer to its official mobile and PC release later in the fall, but what can we expect post-launch? Today I wanted to talk to you guys about some hints the game has on new characters and new areas that I expect we will see within Genshin Impact's first year. I'd also like to talk about some of my own personal hopes in terms of additions to the game. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like and comment your thoughts down below. And yeah, so let's get into this head on, let's get into it. So before we get into speculation about new characters or areas, let's quickly talk about the release schedule for Genshin Impact and how I think the game will be released in terms of consoles. We already know that the PC and mobile versions of Genshin Impact are set to release before October, but a lot of players are looking forward to the PS4 and later on the Nintendo Switch version. I personally think we'll see the PS4 version of the game launch 3 to 4 months after the PC and mobile versions, so either January or February of 2021. The PS4 version of the game still has a lot of rough corners, and there's lots of work miHoYo still has before the game feels really polished on the PS4. When it comes to the Nintendo Switch version, I personally don't expect we'll see it released until spring of 2021. miHoYo hasn't mentioned anything other than it is coming to the Nintendo Switch, so I doubt we'll see anything before 2021 at all. But I've been wrong before, so who knows, maybe miHoYo will surprise us all and release the PS4 and the Switch version at the same time. Now let's switch to some of the more fun topics of speculation. In both closed beta test 2 and the final closed beta test, there is really only mention of two other areas besides Mondstadt and Liyue. First is Inazuma City, which is mentioned in a couple side quests, and I believe in some of the story missions, I can't remember exactly. And the other nation mentioned is Snezhnaya, which is mentioned a lot, since the nation is the opposing force of Mondstadt. I love talking about new areas and speculating what we might see, so I wanted to talk about each area, and then my thoughts on which we might see added into the game first. Let's start off talking about Inazuma City, which is mentioned in the game as being an island nation covered in snow, as well as having a mysterious blue forest. The game mentions the island being to the east of Liyue Harbor, and maybe this means our way of getting there will be through the docks of Liyue. I don't think we as players will get to control a boat or anything, rather just a cutscene of the player leaving Liyue and landing in Inazuma. Inazuma City is a Japanese-inspired city, so we can expect to see some great architecture and beautiful landscapes around the city. I'm really interested to see the blue forest that Barbara mentions in closed beta test 2. One thing I think that will be interesting about Inazuma is the nation's strict government. An NPC in Liyue talks about the nation's government and how the citizens of Inazuma aren't actually allowed to leave the island for travel because the island is closed off. I think this idea could add a lot to the game, where maybe the island starts out being hostile, and then through your quests in the city, the island slowly becomes less hostile in terms of the island's shogun and his forces. The next nation mentioned a lot is Snezhnaya, which is an industrial Russian-inspired nation. The nation is pretty predominant in both beta tests I played, as it was talked about in the story, and there were many characters, traveling NPCs, and Fatui that all mentioned bits and pieces about the nation. We don't know much about the location of the nation, but with it being an industrial nation that specializes in Teyvat's factory production, I'd like to think the nation will be in the far north of the map, or maybe even underground. Another area it could be that would be really interesting is inside the Dragonspire mountain. I know in stories like The Hobbit, the dwarves lived inside the mountain where they mined and produced gems. A bit of an off-topic idea, but it highlights the idea of the city being underground. Since the nation is said to be snowy and cold, it wouldn't be too far-fetched, I think. Let me know down below what you think about the city being inside of the mountain. And when it comes to which nation I think will be added first, I really think it will be Snezhnaya. The nation is mentioned a lot more than Inazuma. And if my speculation of the mountain is correct, then we would have actually been looking at the nation since the first beta. Currently, if you go close to the mountain, the game will push you back into the safe area. I really like the idea of the city inside the mountain, and I really think will be the next nation added into the game. I hope we also see some new characters that are specific to Shanghai, because each nation has a whole roster of characters. One idea I had would be a character type that uses a musket or an ancient rifle type weapon, really leaning into the idea of that industrial nation. Nothing is confirmed, so hey, maybe neither of these nations will be next, but if I had to put money on it, I really think that Shanghai would be the next, since it's mentioned a lot more, and the mountain is already within the game's map. Alright, now that we have the map covered, let's talk characters. We already saw in closed beta test 3, China's server, that 4 new characters are coming. Whether they are for release or not is unknown, since as far as I'm aware, they were not available in the global test at all. We already know about Sucrose, as miHoYo has shown a good amount of details about her, but the next 4 characters were just found by players. Chun-Li is Geo user, Chi-Chi is Cryo user, Baichu is the game's first Dendro user, and finally Gunyu is another Cryo user. All 4 of them have great designs, and I can't wait to see how they fight and the weapons they use, especially Baichu, who uses Dendro. Really interested to see how he fights. I think that we can expect these 4 characters to slowly trickle into the game, maybe 1 per month post-release, but I'm not entirely sure yet. There is still tons of characters the game has. Since last time I counted, the game had 22 characters, if I'm not mistaken, while miHoYo has mentioned 30 characters coming to the game. So that still leaves quite a few characters that we don't know anything about. The only big addition I'd like to see added to the game post-launch within the first year, besides new areas and characters obviously, would be a guild system with co-op specific missions that you do as a guild. Co-op right now feels somewhat bare bones to me, and I'd really love to see some co-op specific activities and maybe special game modes that you get to do as a guild, and maybe even against other guilds, who knows. Just kind of throwing that idea out there. Anyways, that's all for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a comment down below, and let's start up a conversation about your hopes for Genshin Impact's post-launch. I'm really excited to make more videos about the game, and starting in September, I'm going to be working on more guides to help you when you get into the world of Genshin Impact. So stick around for that, and yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.